Okay guys, this is just a quick video to overview the basics of adaptation. So the next topic we're looking at will focus on adaptation and how humans adapt to keep their body in a steady state, but we're just starting off by overviewing in general what is meant by adaptation and the different kinds of adaptation, okay? So basically the key thing is, this point here my finger is, that adaptations are characteristics that help an organism survive in its habitat. Okay? As I've put up here, Earth has a huge variety of habitats like deep oceans, rainforests, temperate forests, tundra, desert, savanna. That's just a few of them. You've got reefs, you've got rivers, you've got other grasslands, you've got mountainous areas, you've got a huge variety of different environments on Earth. And obviously all those environments have different environmental conditions and have different living things living there. And those things together can affect how an organism needs to adapt, okay? So an adaptation is something that helps a living thing survive in its environment. Excuse me. So when we look at adaptations, we can talk about them being structural. So a structural adaptation would be a physical feature or part of an organism, okay? So something the organism has, part of its body shape that lets it survive in its habitat. There are also physiological features, so the way in which the organism's body functions, so something about the internal workings of the body and how it works. And finally, we've got behavioural, so the behaviours and actions of the organism, okay? So I'm sure you've seen at the moment, all the rage at the moment is tigers due to Tiger King. If you haven't watched it, it's an interesting documentary. So let's think about tigers in relation to this. So a structural adaptation of tigers is they are extremely large and they've got very powerful muscles and sharp teeth. That allows them to hunt easily. Physiologically, they've got extremely strong stomach acid that can even digest bones. So obviously that's a major thing about how their body works. And behaviourally, they're very, very good at stalking prey. So they can sneak up on things, be very, very stealthy. So that's a behaviour. So structural, something about their body shape or how their body is. Physiological, something about how their body works. Behavioural, how the animal actually acts. And I decided to do another bit of artwork here. There is a saltwater crocodile. Not bad, I reckon. Those are my favourite animals, so I decided to do one of these as an example. So first of all, I've got its structural adaptations. So I've said that the structural adaptation is it has extremely powerful jaws, and in fact the most powerful jaws of any animal alive today. They have a pressure of 3,000. They can clamp down with a pressure of 3,700 pounds per square inch, or 16,460 newtons. So that's a huge amount of pressure they can generate. And obviously for fighting off or killing prey, it's extremely, extremely beneficial. So that's one of their structural adaptations. I've also got their behavioural adaptation. So it is extremely aggressive and it's got a very territorial nature, which basically means if anything comes into its territory, it will want to attack them or chase them off, which allows it to have its territory to itself. So that aggressive behaviour, again, is an adaptation to help it survive. And finally, just working out how you can see that. There we go. So physiologically, obviously by the name of them, these live in salt water, but they don't only live in salt water, they can also live in fresh water. So their physiological adaptation is they have glands in their underneath their tongue, through which they can excrete salt. So their body can filter out excessive amounts of salt, and then it secrete it out through glands in their tongue. So that way their body doesn't get overloaded with salt, which is obviously beneficial for it. Okay, so we've looked at it in relation to both a tiger and a saltwater crocodile. For any living thing, we can talk about ways they have structural, physiological, and behavioural adaptations as well. So the last thing that I want to talk about in this video quickly is what we mean when we talk about the biotic and abiotic things affecting an organism. So when we talk about biotic factors, those are living things that an organism may interact with in their habitat. So for example, any predators, so things that eat it, prey, things that it eats, parasites, things that grow inside of it, all of those would count as biotic features of an ecosystem or biotic things for an organism. And then abiotic factors are non-living things that an organism may interact with in their habitat. So temperature, water, light, the minerals in the environment, anything like that would be an abiotic factor. And what we refer to as the ecological niche of an organism is the way that it interacts with biotic and abiotic factors. So how it fits into the surroundings around it is what we call the ecological niche. And just put there the preferred niche when it has good access to all of the a good level of interaction with the biotic things, a good range of tolerances for the abiotic things. It's in its preferred niche. That's good for the organism. In the marginal niche, that's when maybe the environmental conditions aren't quite as good, but it's still able to live there. And then an unavailable niche is when the environmental and living conditions mean it cannot live in that environment. So to use the saltwater crocodile example, so that lives on the coast of northern Australia, so around Queensland, the Northern Territory, Western Australia, where it's very, very warm, and obviously there's lots of access to rivers and the coast up there. So they're found mostly in the far north of Australia, where they've got all the things they need to effectively live and get access to their prey, but they can be found in the sort of upper mid-coast of Queensland as well, where it's a little bit cooler. So when the temperature's going down, and they like a warm temperature, remember, they're moving from their preferred niche to their marginal niche, where they can still tolerate it. But if they move down much further, the water would be too cold for them, and they'd be in an unavailable niche. And that's why we don't find crocodiles down in Victoria, where we are at the moment, which, I don't know, I think it'd be pretty cool to have crocodiles around, but probably for the best for everyone that they're not. But that's the reason why. The biotic and probably more so the abiotic features mean that it's not a good environment for the saltwater crocodiles to live in. Anyway, that's everything for today. Just the idea that adaptations are features that help an organism survive in its habitat, that they can be structural, physiological, or behavioural, and the idea of biotic and abiotic factors leading to an organism having a preferred niche in which it lives. Okay, thank you.